Well, good afternoon, and thank you for watching Live Impact News here on 13 News Now Plus. My name is Eugene Daniel here in our 13 News Now streaming studio. And it is the holiday season, which of course comes with so many things, with travel, and we're going to get into all of that also with your forecast too. But it's also a time where a lot of people, it is not the most wonderful time of the year. A lot of people deal with seasonal depression and grief during this time as well. And so joining us today to talk about that, we have Dr. Alicia Tetteh, who is an assistant professor at Norfolk State University. She's also a therapist and founder of Building Endurance, which is a mental health services group in Norfolk. Thank you so much for being here today. Looking forward to this conversation because a lot of people are dealing with this during this time of the year, and we know throughout the entirety of the year. I guess that's my first question to you is, what makes it so common around the holiday season?
Absolutely. First, thank you for having me. Glad to be here. I am a huge champion and an advocate of us understanding that mental health is something that impacts all of us, no matter the race or the age or the shade. And because depression is directly linked to the sun provides vitamin D. Whenever we have less sun, people are have the opportunity to be impacted or affected by depression. You add in genetics, right? Because depression is also genetic. So if you have it in your family, then you can experience it as well. So it is very common for this time of the year for folks to feel lower energy and sadder, and it has everything to do with the weather. You mentioned grief. This is also just, it could be a difficult time for families who are experiencing grief. So like you mentioned, I like that line. It's not the jolliest time of the year for all of us, but I just want to normalize that any of us can be affected and feel sad during this time, and also be grieving a variety of things during this time as well.
You know, it's so interesting you were talking about how much the sun and everything plays a part into it as well. I don't think a lot of people realize like getting
Yes.
quality sunlight can really have a huge effect. In that kind of light, not to make a play on words, it's just the first thing that came in mind. What
Hmm.
would you suggest to people in how they can kind of, embrace and get through this particular season?
Absolutely. I always approach with my clients, we need to just check our foundation, right? And at the foundation, we all need sleep, so good quality rest. We all need to eat. We need to eat more than once a day. We all need water. We all need sunlight, and we all need movement. And so, even though it's cold out, it's nice sometimes to kind of bundle up and go for a walk. But moving our bodies is also going to help fight against those feelings of sadness as well as feelings of anxiety.
And we're talking about the movement and all those things, and that's maybe stuff that someone who may be experiencing that, what they can do.
Hmm.
What about friends, family, loved ones? If you spot someone, first, I guess we can start with what are the signs that someone may be experiencing seasonal depression or an abundance of grief?
Absolutely. I always encourage clients, just like I stated before, the same things that help, those same baseline behaviors are also indicators that something may be going on. So if you find yourself using substances more often or needing substances to do things, that's a sign. If you find yourself crying without being provoked, that's a sign. Very low motivation. So you go days where you're not getting up to go to work, you're not getting up to go to school. That's a sign that we want to look out for in a friend. Also, if they are expressing, like, I don't feel like being here. So we really want to hear and listen to the folks in our lives. And I'm not charging all of you to be therapists, but something that you can do as a friend is listen. Honestly, sometimes people just need you to be present and be there and let folks know, I have your back.
So, in that kind of vein, when is it important for us to maybe see medical help, to see a professional, a therapist? I imagine some of what you just said will kind of be the cue to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Paying attention to what are your normal baseline behaviors, and then when are you off your game. So, for example, if you find yourself eating more or less than what you usually do, sleeping more or less than what you usually do, relying on substances like I mentioned before, knowing that this I'm not feeling like myself and my routine has changed, that's usually an indicator that it may be time to call a friend or even reach out to a professional.
So when you are making that list, I know I talk to people and I've encouraged. I mean, I'm huge supporter in therapy myself, and sometimes I'll recommend it for my friends. I've recommended it to family members, and they
Absolutely.
will always say, often say, I should say, oh well. I don't want to do that because X, Y, and Z. I don't want people to think. I don't want people to think something's wrong with me. Can you kind of coach those who may be trying to encourage a loved one or someone to seek therapy, how to approach that conversation? Because I know how much has changed my life, and sometimes it feels like it's tough to get people over that hump to do so.
Absolutely. First, just validating and normalize. It is scary to do a new thing. So sometimes trying something new like therapy can seem scary. But also you want to normalize and validate that like something is going on with all of us. We all are having a variety of experiences, whether it has to do with children or just life or impacted by the government. And so I think it's also important to normalize that we all have mental health, like that is something we all possess, and that sometimes we need some professional support. I also honor people in spaces who are not ready. I honor that as well, and I think there are other ways that you can get community support, and so I really want to emphasize community care as well. We should all be in community with someone, whether that is church affiliated or affiliated with your job or you have your friend group or your book club. But even if you're not ready for professional support, we should be in community and be supporting each other in that way together.
So you have a group, you call it Building Endurance. What do you all specialize in?
Yeah, so we provide a couple of services. So outpatient therapy to individuals, couples, families, and organizations. Couples therapy for premarital counseling as well as post. We provide trainings to organizations, so training nonprofit and for-profit organizations around mental health topics. And then lastly, I provide clinical supervision to therapists who are provisionally licensed. So they're fresh out of school and they need the supervisory hours.
When you're talking with people and you're having these conversations, what are some of the misconceptions you think people have surrounding any of this, either it's seasonal depression or grief? What are some of the misconceptions people typically have?
The stigma. No one wants to be viewed as crazy, and that's a word that I don't even really use. But I think a lot of people are worried about what other people will say if they know. And I think taking care of yourself, number one, is your business. But number two, the more we talk about it, the more we can fight that misconception. I think people too often think that therapy is only for wealthy and rich people. That also is not true. There are organizations and insurance options and work options where you can get therapy at a low or discounted rate. So I think the cost. And I think maybe the third one is if I go and somebody finds out there's something wrong with me, does that mean other people around me will not want to be in relationship with me anymore? And that's also just a myth. The more we work on bettering ourselves, we only then strengthen the relationships with other people that we have around us.
I think I think you hit it on the head for some of my loved ones who have really been struggling in that space. So I'm so glad that you're here to have this conversation with us. If somebody may not have the resources, they don't think they have the resources to therapy. Can you kind of hit on again? There are a lot of different spaces that they can still get access to care.
Absolutely. One site I often refer people to is OpenPath because they offer services for low and reduced rate. Calling the number on the back of your insurance card, letting your insurance know this is what I'm looking for. A lot of insurance plans already have that included, especially something called EAP, which stands for Employee Assistance Program, and that's where you will get a certain number of sessions for free, and they'll connect you to a clinician. Therapy for Black girls is another one that's really big. Psychology Today, goodtherapy.org. So any of those are options that you can reach out to. And again, some of them offer it at free and low cost options.
You mentioned some of the things to do if you're a loved one approaching someone in this space. What are some of the don'ts? What are some of the things you're like, hey, listen, let's not go about it that way?
Yeah. A big no-no, especially if someone is expressing that they want to harm themselves, is saying, no, you don't. You don't feel that way. So that is really invalidating to people. So if someone comes to you, you want to, again, listen, and validate how they feel. So I think the biggest no-no is telling someone that they don't really feel the way that they do, right? The other one is kind of downplaying it. Well, you have this going on and that going on. Well, how could you feel that way? And I often use celebrities like Robin Williams and Twitch and who we recognize they had all the money and the fame and still they were impacted by mental health. And so that just goes to show you that just because people have things, that doesn't mean that they won't feel differently internally.
Okay, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Can you touch on that more? Because I think sometimes people do think just because someone appears to be happy, that there's nothing, that they could be dealing with. But man, it is so hard as a friend or someone else to be able to reach people when you can't see anything. How do you deal with that? How do you show up for people in that way when you just don't know?
Yeah, there's this slogan called "Check on the Strong Friend," and so I want to remind you all that just because someone appears outwardly okay, a lot of people are hiding behind a mask, and that mask is the smile, that laugh is the joking all the time, and the happy all the time, right? And so I live by the mantra of I check in on all of my people, regardless if they seem like something is going okay or if they seem like not, right? So I think again, going back to community care and relationship, we should be checking in with each other regularly, right? And we'll be able to catch those things as opposed to, well, they seem fine, so I'll call them next week. Yeah. I'll call them next week. If you're thinking about somebody, reach out to them in that moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't, the tips that was given to me a long time, I used to feel like, I don't have time because when I reach out, I need at least 30 to an hour, to be able to talk to someone. And I had a really good friend say, hey, I don't need you to be on the phone with me for 30 minutes every time. It could be a text message. It can be a call. And I'm sure, it kind of sounds like you agree with that too. Like it doesn't have to be this big amount of time.
No, and you don't have to overextend. It can just be, like I said, you're thinking about them, shoot them a text. Hey, just thinking about you. Send them a voice memo. I was watching this show, made me think of you. I hope all is well. And you never know how that small check-in can go a very long way with people.
Do you ever run into people who might feel, maybe guilty on their part because maybe they don't feel like this, but they know someone around them may? And how would you maybe help them? I know I'm throwing out, different scenarios.
You are. You hit me left and right.
There's some, but it does affect people differently.
It
right?
does.
And you'll have, sometimes people who feel like, well, I can't really be, happy because I don't think this person is happy. So,
okay.
So how do you maybe navigate those waters if that is you?
Yeah. So, for example, if you are in a healthy and flourishing relationship and a friend just had a breakup, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you and your relationship, your friend had a breakup. I think that it is helpful to ask the friend what is okay and what is not okay, right? So I know you just had the breakup. Let me know if I'm talking about such and such too much. Or let me know if you would rather us do something that's not going to touch on couples or relationships. And so I want to emphasize we have to communicate with each other. We got to ask. We don't have to guess what's going on with the people in our lives. Sometimes a lot will be revealed to us if we just say, what do you need and how can I best support you? So those are two of my favorite statements. How can I support you? And what do you need from me during this time? And then allowing people to say, you know what? I don't want to talk about guys right now, or I don't want to talk about this right now. Or they may say, I actually have a lot to say. Can you listen for a second? But I think taking the guesswork and the anxiety out for us and just asking folks, what do you need?
Yeah, and then, doing it on their terms. I think that's what I'm kind of hearing from you, giving them the ability to kind of dictate the terms of how you're going to communicate. Great stuff here. Anything we have not hit on when it comes to, navigating seasonal depression and grief around this time of year that you're like, I really want people to hear this?
The last thing I'll say is make those doctor's appointments. I know that for some of us, we have a long history of mistrust with medical professions, but we have to get to the doctor so that there's early detection around things that are important. I am meeting more and more people who are being impacted by fertility issues and issues related to cancer, and I can't emphasize enough prevention over intervention. So make sure that you are getting your annual checkups, that you're getting to the dentist, that you're doing these things. So if there is something going on, it can be caught early.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. We got Dr. Alicia Tetteh, who is here, the founder of Building Endurance, giving us some really helpful tips. And I hope that this reaches somebody, because what you were telling people, I mean, there are so many folks who are dealing with this around this time of year. And I know we talked right before we went on, and one of the things I wanted to make sure people knew is that they are not alone.
Absolutely.
You're not alone no matter what the circumstances are. And again, there is help available. Could you again just share
Some of those
resources,
Absolutely.
and then also how people can get in contact with you guys
Yes,
too? We
yes,
want to make sure
yes.
that can do.
So, Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls, goodtherapy.org, calling the 1-800 number on the back of your insurance card. Open Path Collective is another good one, and the Loveland Foundation is another one, good one as well. I can be reached at www.buildingendurancepllc.com. Would love to work with you. Would love to come out to your organization. And again, you know, we all deserve good things. It's something that I live by, and so if there is something going on with you, please don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help.
Thank you so much for coming in. And please, if you need that help, or you know a friend who may need so, please share that information with them. You do not want to go through this holiday season without having those resources by your side. So again, thank you. And then happy holidays to you too.
Yes.
And for whatever you got planned, I hope it is phenomenal. We appreciate you very much.
All right.